it is safe to say we will not be playing any videos related to Shannon Sharp tonight like we did on Monday. Welcome to the show tonight, the Roundtable. We got almost a full crew here tonight. I'm Kendrick. Chris is here. Jared is here. And a special guest tonight, the one and only Ken Rashad.
Special. Okay, good.
Yeah, you are special. Some people say you're special, but yeah, you're special. Yeah. So we're gonna have a fun show tonight. We're gonna talk football in the first segment. Then we're gonna shift, like we've been doing previous weeks, to other topics, non-sports related. We will be remiss if we did not mention a great loss that's tangentially related to the Black college community. The one and only Frankie Beverly passed away today, as we all know. Frankie Beverly was the soundtrack of many cookouts, family reunions, and most importantly, to a lot of Black college football games with the band playing the songs. We can't play them on YouTube because we get the demerit for that. But you all know and love them. So RIP to Frankie Beverly, man. The one and only. One of the great musicians of our time who passed away today. Yeah, so fellas, how we doing tonight? Kim Rashad?
I'm okay. But whether or not I'll be better by the end of this show remains to be determined.
Let's hope so. Yeah, so our first topic tonight, we're going to get into some of the games this weekend, a lot of rivalry games, especially in the SWAC and the CIAA. And Jared Hoffman, our intrepid Division II expert and reporter, he listed on our website today 5 games that everybody should watch for this week. They include Lincoln, PA, in Charlotte against Johnson C. Smith, Hampton versus Norfolk State, a former MEAC matchup, and then the one I'm be watching, Sutton versus Jackson State. Then Alabama State against Sanford. Why Alabama State, Sanford, Jared? Why that one?
I just feel like that's a good non-conference test for Alabama State as before they enter conference play. And the rest of the schedule is kind of bleak in terms of games that could see our teams potentially win in out-of-conference situations. So I felt like that was the best out-of-conference game to look forward to.
Okay. And then we got Tennessee State against Arkansas Pine Bluff in the revamped Southern Heritage Classic. Last season, Tennessee State beat UAPB, despite the fact Pine Bluff had a chance to win at the end. But hopefully, this new version of the game would be more attended than last year's game was. We'll see. Hope it's a good game nonetheless. So, fellas, of the games listed here by Jared, which ones are you going to watch with intent? Starting with Chris.
I'm really interested to see how Lincoln looks against Johnson C. Smith. This is a transitional year for Lincoln. This is probably going to be their best chance to be anything remotely considered a CIAA contender. Of course, they have not had a winning record since they restarted football in 2008. So they're already 0-1. They lost a game they should have won at Clarion, and now they get Johnson C. Smith, who is coming in on a tear. They beat Tuskegee. They beat Morehouse, so they can lay claim to being the best team to beat the CIAA team, to beat the SIAC team. But this Lincoln team, led by Isaiah Freeman, a quarterback, is going to test that Johnson C. Smith defense. So that defense has to be on high alert. I'm very interested to see how Lincoln looks in that particular matchup.
Yeah, Jared Hoffman.
Yeah, I think the same things, Chris. I think Isaiah Freeman didn't have the season debut that he wanted against Clarion, so I think he's looking for a better performance against Johnson C. Smith. He played pretty well against them last year, threw 2 touchdowns, threw an interception as well, and they lost the game. So I think this will be a good barometer for both teams as they play in their first conference game. But I got to do right by my mom and say Hampton and Norfolk State as well. I think that's been a game where the road team has been on quite a winning streak. The last 5 road teams has won that game. So if by transitive properties, that means that Norfolk State should win this one. But the last time the home team won, I believe it was Norfolk State. So, yeah, I think that's always an exciting game. It's always very competitive. A couple of years ago, they went to overtime. It was 47-44, I believe. Norfolk State won that game. So it's always highly competitive. So even though these two teams aren't looked at as the tops in their conference, every time they match up on the field, it's always fun to watch. So I'll definitely have that game on the screen on Saturday.
So, Kieran Shine, any game that piques your interest from Jared's list, or you got anything off the board?
Come on, man. We know it's all about Southern and Jackson State, particularly because I'm not going to say it's for the first time, but it's the first time that I've heard someone other than a fan or just a passerby talk about this game. I can't help but I can't ignore what Jackson State head coach T.C. Taylor said on Monday when someone asked him about how the game is, why is it so heated in the way that it is?
Oh, and I got a clip for that.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah. I'll play it right now for people.
Hey, Coach, there's something about when Southern plays Jackson. You know about it. You know what it looks like as a player, a student athlete, and as a coach. Why is this rivalry? Why is this such a big deal and a big game?
So many great players has participated in this rivalry. For one, you talk about some of the greats in the SWAC, but it's not a lot of love. I mean, it's not a lot of love in between the two schools. Just like you said, I can remember that as a player, and now as a coach, it's the same way. Coach Graves, he's a great football coach. He's going to have those guys fired up. But that rivalry amongst the fans is something serious. When you talk about that Southern and Jackson State football game, and it's not going to be any different this weekend. These fans want those bragging rights for another year. Here in Jackson, and we're going to go out there and give them that this weekend. Looking forward to it.
Yeah,
you have to appreciate a coach who is. Look, man, I get it. He's a leader of men, and you've got coaches who would try to downplay that, man. But you have to appreciate the fact that this is a person who actually played in this game as well as a student athlete who fully appreciates what this is about. This is just plain old unadulterated hatred. I'm just saying, I am here for it. I'm saying, look, I'm all for rules. And there was a clip that was circulating on Facebook or on Instagram somewhere that showed a clip where the Southern band was there. They showed a picture of Southern band, and the Jackson State band, the Jackson State announcer makes the comment, bands are not allowed to play while the quarterback is on the center. And the band director was like, man, screw you. We playing anyway. I'm just saying. Now, look, and the reason why I make an exception for that, because probably sometime next week, I am going to talk about this thing about bands playing underneath while in the center, because that's unfortunately, that is an HBCU problem. I'm going to talk about that later, especially as we prepare for the Ghetto Fest that's about to take place in Dallas between Grambling and Prairie View. So I'm just saying, but I digress. But Jackson State and Southern, man, that's the game that I'm looking for this weekend.
Yeah, as soon as Jackson State finished beating the dog crap out of Lane College by 51 points last Saturday,
and
all the
Kendrick
smack talk started. Yeah, it should have been 58. It should have been 58. Yeah, as soon as that game ended, all the social media smack groups lit up like Christmas trees, man.
Hey,
going
Kendrick.
back and forth.
Kendrick.
Yeah.
Can we show Chris's face?
Oh, my bad.
Oh, I wasn't even paying attention. I was listening to Kendrick talk.
I'm just saying,
People know Chris here. He's a great contributor to our program.
Okay.
Yeah, but like I was saying, man, like the rivalry runs deep, man. As I didn't play football as I say, I played baseball as I say, and like being a part of those baseball games, especially at Southern and Lee Hines Field, where the fans would show up to the game and when you go into that baseball stadium, it's kind of like near the highway. So like people will like stand along like the overpass and yell things at you, and then their dugout be making all these chants and stuff. And they had Ricky Weeks on their team, who got drafted number 2 overall in the draft.
Right.
Then and they were like beating us up pretty good. It just made me angry. So I'm like, yeah, I don't like Southern at all. I don't like anything about them. I don't like the school newspaper. I don't like, for this week only, I don't like their colors.
You don't like the school newspaper, really?
I don't like the school newspaper. I don't like the school newspaper. I don't like the little Jaguar mascot, what they got. I don't like nothing, man. About Southern
where's Reggie
University,
Flood
man.
when you need him?
Man.
Prayers out the flood, by the way.
Yeah, prayers out to everybody. But for this week though, like hope everybody in Louisiana, man, is safe from the coming storm, man. Hope everybody makes it out of there pretty good. But yeah, like Southern Week is one of the I don't like the janitors either. Yeah, so I don't like anything about them. This is the first time like I'm taking off my like professional hat and put on my Jackson State hat. Yeah, man, but still, like this game, I remember watching the game was playing the Superdome. That's how I'm following this game, and like to have them win this game is a disgrace. But Jackson State won the last 4 in a row. I'm hoping they make it 5.
Kendrick, you're supposed to be a professional.
Not this week, I'm not, man.
You don't like the school newspaper and you don't like the janitors?
Not this week, man.
People ain't got nothing to do with nothing.
Them folk just there to clean up the mess them college kids make. Man.
Oh,
That's
man.
They probably watching this video like, what now? Why am I in it?
all. 50 Cent meme. And I'm like, what'd he say? E for?
But it's all in good fun, though. Like it's all in good fun, though. Like, yeah, like this is what rivalry is about. Like Ken, like you don't like Southern either in the last week of November, right?
Okay. So the way we don't like Southern is a little different from the way you don't like Southern. You know, now I think it's safe to say now I'm not okay. Since you used to be a time now back in my younger years, back when we were going through that 8-game losing streak, man, I couldn't stand Southern. I couldn't. We lost one time. We lost again. This is maybe what loss number 4, number 5, whatever. And I was so upset. I woke my wife up like at 2 a.m. and she said, "What you do?" I said, "Get up. We're about to go." Going where? I said, "We going back to Dallas." 2 o'clock in the morning. And I drove. I mean, streets were just packed. And we really doing this. We really did that. I paid the price for that, though. Got a ticket because I was speeding. But yeah, man. Yeah. But now I'm a little bit more mature. And I think it's safe to say that the rivalry between Grambling and Southern is a friendly rivalry. Now, I got relatives. I tell them now, this weekend we're not related. And if for whatever reason I see you and you're stranded on the side of the road, I'm not going to help you. So, but I don't hate the janitor. I don't hate the school newspaper. I mean, I see Edwin is on right now. Edwin and I would have drinks, but see, I'm just saying. Edwin and I would have drinks before the Bayou Classic, but Southern and Jackson State, it ain't like that. It ain't like that. But,
Wait a minute.
But I might grow some hate for Southern later. It put like this. It all depends on if there's any sort of championship implications online involved, because I expect to be in the hunt this year. So anyway, Grambling,
in the hunt for what?
Huh?
In the hunt for what?
SWAC West title, baby. SWAC West title.
Y'all football coach say y'all a bad football team.
As of now, he's keeping it real. That's what I love about Mickey Joseph. He is keeping it real. We got 2 games to write. We got 2 more games before we right the ship. So non-conference game against Commerce, A&M Commerce, and then we've got another non-conference game against that school you went to, and we're good. Oh, by the way, see, people need to be mindful. The Southern and Jackson State game is not a conference game. It does not count in the conference standings, just so you guys know. This is a conference game that has absolutely nothing to do with conference standings. So just so you guys know that. Nor will Grambling's game with Jackson State next week. So,
yeah, it's weird, but yeah, Chris, in any game you got your eye on this week?
Well, I already said mine. It was Lincoln Johnson, C. Smith.
That's right, yeah.
But
I got
yeah,
distracted by my blind hate by Southern. Okay, go ahead.
listen, I know what it's like to be a hater. Like I tell my friends all the time, you know, from different schools, it's like if there's a championship on the line and Delaware State's in, and I don't know you. That's how it works. I mean, it's been a long time. It's been a long time since that's actually happened, but you know, I mean, there are people that I know that went to Howard, that went to Hampton, went to Norfolk, Morgan, UMES, A&T every once in a while. We went back when they were in the MEAC. I mean, we cool until game day. Unless you're somebody that I know on a different level, but that's another story for another day. But yeah, rivalries in HBCU sports. I mean, that's what makes it great because you get the jokes, you get the memes now. Social media has definitely amplified it because those of us who are old enough to remember the message board wars on MEAC fans and the swag page, boy, whew, those were some battles on the line. But now that thanks to Twitter and Instagram, it's kind of made things a little tighter, neater in terms of, being able to get your hate out for another school.
Yeah, I mean, social media has been lit up all week about that type of stuff. So yeah, it's always fun though. Like this is just a fun level of hate. It's not like I hate you like I hate the Green Bay Packers hate. Like I hate them very much, more than Southern actually.
You ain't gonna have to worry about the Packers for a while, boy. Whew.
Yeah, but so we're gonna move on and shift away from football for a minute and talk stuff outside of football. We kind of mentioned it at the start of the show. Frankie Beverly dying today. He was kind of like the soundtrack of cookouts and family reunions and black college bands. Any favorite Frankie Beverly song y'all have that y'all want to shout out?
There's too damn many. I had the privilege of being at the last show Frankie Beverly ever performed. July 6, 2024, Dell Music Center, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Strawberry Mansion neighborhood. My mom goes back to when Frankie was playing in nightclubs in Philadelphia when it wasn't Maze, they were Raw Soul. So my mom has like a 50-year fandom with this band. And I could not in good conscience, she was like, I'm not worried about it. I've seen Frankie enough. Even though she knew this was the farewell tour, she was like, I can't, if I'm not gonna be able to make it, I'm not gonna be able to make it. I said, the hell you will. So you won't miss this.
Right.
So I bought the tickets. I bought 3 tickets just in case somebody else wanted to come. One of our cousins came, and now I'm so happy that I was able to do that for my mom because he wasn't moving very well on stage, honestly. And I didn't know he was that ill, but I knew he was done performing, but I was glad I was able to get my mom to go see her performance. But the top 3 off of the top of my head, just really quickly, Running Away, Happy Feelings, and shucks. Back in Stride Again. That's the top 3 that come to mind right now.
Yeah, I'm with Edwin. Edwin, the Golden Time of Day, man, is my absolute favorite one. That is my absolute. You beat me to the punch. Golden Time, without question, is my favorite one. And I'm guessing because of this, I'm thinking somewhere down the line before the end of the season, we're going to see a number of bands do tribute to Frankie Beverly, and the entire halftime show will be featuring his hits. So I'm looking forward to that. But absolutely, Edwin, Golden Time of Day is my absolute favorite of all of them. And Kendrick, to your point, it wasn't, I guess I didn't appreciate it until you actually said just how impactful Frankie Beverly and Maze has been or currently is on HBCU bands, especially some, I think, who was it? You, Edwin, you got, I think it's Alcorn that plays one of those Frankie Beverly cuts regularly. I know Jackson State plays Golden Time of Day, or they have been at some point periodically. But literally at some point, every year, there isn't an HBCU band that doesn't play some form or some hit from Frankie Beverly and Maze. There isn't a year that goes by. So, but I can tell you now, there will be tons of tributes, probably with the next 2 to 3 weeks, honoring Frankie Beverly, and I am looking forward to it. I am going to absolutely look forward to it.
Yeah, Jared, you're the youngest person on the panel. Any Frankie Beverly song that you resonate with you?
So my old school playlist is kind of different. Like I got into the Isley Brothers. I got into George Benson. I've gotten into uh other like Zapp and Roger. That was who I was thinking of. Like, so I haven't gotten into the full Frankie Mason Beverly catalog. I will. As soon as we're done here, actually. But one memory that I remember from Frankie Beverly was a couple of years ago. I believe it was a BET Awards, the BET Awards or the Soul Train Awards or something like that. He was being honored with the Lifetime Achievement Award, and this was at a time when he was, I believe, like Chris said, like very ill, and like everybody knew it. So he's being honored, and nobody expects him to perform. There was a lot of other singers on stage that were singing songs on his behalf, and then he gets a chance to perform a little bit, and he's performing Before I Let Go, and his voice is gone, but he is singing with everything he has. And then when he gets to the I will never, never, never part, his voice just completely went out. But it just showed you what kind of person he was, that he came to give the people a show. You know what I mean? And even though his body was telling him, get off the stage, turn the mic off, stop singing, like, he couldn't help but be the natural showman that he is. And I always remember that. Even though I don't remember what show it was on, I always remembered that moment and saying, like, he is somebody that is so honorable and so respectful to his fans that he is willing to be hurting himself to give us a show. So sad that he has passed, but praying for his family, praying for his friends and everyone who supported him throughout his career. And thank you for everything that you have done for not just HBCU bands, but music in general.
Yeah, like for me, like I always heard, like before they should go, every single family reunion that our family had when it moved across the country. And I remember my mom playing Frankie Beverly music on the radio in the car, driving around the city, running errands. I mean, like, I thought Frankie Beverly was like, other than Michael Jackson, like the biggest musician in the world because my mom always listened to him like all the time, like all the songs, like just like resonated with me and my family. So it's a tough loss. Like people on Twitter today were talking about like how depressed they were that he had died, and they want to take a day off work to like just compartmentalize it all. Yeah, because Frankie Beverly, through his music, is just a part of us as people. Like he made happy music. He made music that hit us in the heart. And so, like, not to have that sound and that voice around, at least in person, is going to hurt a lot. But like, thanks for like places like YouTube and like people who still have records players these days to have them, or cassette players or whatever. They can still play his songs and pass his music down from generation to generation. So, like, we're definitely going to miss him for sure.
I'm going to ask you guys this question, and this could foster a whole nother discussion we may not have time for, but is Frankie Beverly the most black famous person that we can think of at the moment?
Ooh, man, be careful. It's a great question. It's a great question.
Because I mean,
and you know what?
Here's why I say he's the most black famous person we know.
Okay, and go ahead.
Never been nominated for a Grammy. Never been. I mean, yes, he's got BET and Soul Train awards, but he's never been nominated for a Grammy.
Right.
He's never won a video music award. He's never gotten. He's never topped the Billboard charts. And the funny thing is about what Jared mentioned Before I Let Go, it never broke the top 100, and the highest it rated on the R&B charts in 1981 was 13.
Okay.
So when you think about acts and bands and artists that are uniquely, wholly a black experience, I think Frankie Beverly and Maze tops the list. I mean, you could say that, Earth, Wind, and Fire had a pop audience at some point. Same thing about Parliament Funkadelic. Same thing about the Ohio Players. Same thing about the Ozzy Brothers. When you think about just somebody who was black when they started, black in the middle, and black at the end, I feel like Frankie and Mays, are the ones in that regard.
Chris, that may be it's a great question. And you may be very, very accurate in your assessment, because when you asked that question, I immediately thought back to a situation that I was in. My wife and I had gone to a Babyface concert. This was about 3-4 years ago. He was here locally here in Dallas, and Babyface, being the entertainer that he is, he literally set this up. And he said, I swear to you, he was going through his set. And so all of a sudden he says, okay, now this next song I'm about to sing. And he goes, the black folks are going to know what it is. He goes, you white folks, you might pause for a moment. Okay. No disrespect, but you might some of you white folks might be like, what is that? Dude, as soon as the band went and everybody just went crazy. There was so I'm here, my wife is here, and there is a white lady, middle-aged white lady next to my wife. And so here we are, kind of jamming and dancing on our spot, and I see the lady is saying something to my wife, and she goes, so. And so after the show is over, I'm like, what did that lady next to you want to know? She asked me, who was that? I was like, wow. She had never heard the song before. And as soon as it went, and the whole crowd just went crazy. So I'm just saying, man. Yeah, man, James Earl Jones. We weren't really prepared for that, but James Earl Jones is another one, man. Another heavyweight. So, hey, man, we got to keep going. But yeah, great point, Chris. Great point. What is the name of that song you guys were singing?
I got to hear what Kendrick and Jared think. What you guys? What's your take on that?
The black. Dang,
The most
that's a good
black
question.
famous
There's so many. There's so many of them. I would probably say for me, like Michael Jackson.
What?
I don't like. I think the way Chris said phrased the question, though, I don't think Michael Jackson fits in that. I think you're saying the most famous black person. He's saying the most black famous person.
Oh,
like only within our community.
Right. In other words, black folks might know who that person is right off the bat. White folks would be like, who sings that song? I've never heard that song before. I didn't know that was a Babyface. It's not a Babyface song. I'm just saying.
Shouts out to Bro George in the chat. He said, why is everyone doing the electric slide?
That's good.
You already know.
That's the embodiment of two Americas. Because imagine people not knowing who Frankie Beverly is. Like, even me as being the youngest on this panel. And it is blasphemous for me to not know who Frankie Beverly is or not know that song.
I was going to say, Jerry, and if I was going to say, at the very least, if you don't know who Frankie Beverly is, you know that song. And the reason why I know that to be true is because during the SWAC basketball tournament just this past year in Birmingham, that song came on, and I literally was like, and the entire crowd was singing that song, and that included the youngsters, and they were singing that song.
Because there's no way that you're at a family function and that song is not playing.
Right.
There's no way.
Right.
There's absolutely, if that song's not playing, if Summertime isn't playing, if I can't think of any other.
I was standing by the Gap Band. You got to hear that too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but that song is going to get played, and you can play it at so many different events. That song is so. We talk about how Michael Jackson's discography is so versatile. That song, you could play it at any event, and black people will know what it is every single time.
Right. Hey, before we move on, let me just simply say this for those who may not be aware. For those of you who are watching us right now, hit the like button, please. Hit the like button and become a member. Subscribe to the channel, of course, but you can be a level 1, level 2, or level 3 supporter by supporting the channel and making a monthly donation. Also, do know that Wednesdays, the Roundtable, while we do take the time to address some of those key games, that typically this is kind of a show on Wednesdays where we kind of let our hair down. So we don't necessarily just talk about HBCU sports or HBCU events unless it's just major, and we've keyed on some things. But this typically is a show on this day in which we tend to kind of talk about some other current events as well. Okay, so this is kind of like what we do on Wednesdays. You know, we will have a preview show on Friday. We'll have a review show on Mondays, but Wednesday we kind of keep it a little loose, just so you guys know. So, you know, I don't want you guys coming out. Hey, all they just doing is talking about Frankie Beverly and Mays. That's kind of what we do here. It is very intentional, and we ask that you feel free to join in and be involved and engaged in the dialogue, okay? Because we are multifaceted, and we are capable of spewing our opinions and views on more than just sports. As much as we love it, but we've got some other things that we're going to talk about, and I don't know what the lineup is, but there was one particular topic that I'm going to talk about, and it might rub some folks away the wrong way. So go ahead, Kendrick. What's next?
For last. But
we're saving that for last. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, Chris, like I'm looking at a story that Essence did, like in 2020, about the most famous, the most Black famous person, and number one is actually Frankie Beverly, followed by Phyllis Hyman, Gerald Levert. Oh, what's my mom? One of my mom's favorite singers, Tina Marie, and Countess Vaughn, the actor, the actress, Countess Vaughn. So yeah, like Frankie Beverly,
the Parkers
the Parkers, yeah. Everybody.
I had to step away. You already know why. Anyway, so what's the deal now?
What did Chris go?
You know that was internet.
Oh, his internet went out again. You got to put a sign behind himself now, like I do. Yeah, but the next topic is going to be something that broke actually on Sunday. It's Kendrick Lamar being the name of Super Bowl halftime act this year in New Orleans. And while I'm excited, another Kendrick getting shine. A lot of people out here, especially those who live in the Bayou, don't kind of agree with that because they feel like someone native to New Orleans or Louisiana should share the Super Bowl stage. But Kendrick Lamar, as we know, he's had one of the best summers of all time. There's Chris. Is it Xfinity again, Chris?
End of the week. It's over. I don't care if anybody from Xfinity is watching this. You're done. It's over. But yeah, I'm back. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, but Kendrick Lamar, Super Bowl halftime show act, and a lot of people are saying it should be Lil Wayne. It should be someone from New Orleans. They're trying to get to the bottom of it. They feel like this is the NFL taking a shot at Drake. So, guys, what do you think about K-Dot being the act this year for the halftime show?
Well, I'll tell you this. There has not been a hometown act that I can think of in recent years. Last time the Super Bowl was in New Orleans, Beyonce did it. The greatest Super Bowl halftime performance of all time was in Miami, Florida, when one Prince Rogers Nelson took that guitar and played Purple Rain in the rain.
In the rain, yep.
And Prince ain't from Miami. He wasn't from Miami. He was from Minneapolis, Minnesota. So, you know, this thing about, I think what it really is that people cannot accept the fact that Drake got his boots smoked by Kendrick Lamar. And that and Kendrick Lamar has over a decade worth of work to work with in terms of a halftime show. Like we talked about it briefly on Monday. Like Jared was right. He could conceivably do Not Like Us for 20 minutes and nobody would and nobody would get tired of it. But he can do stuff like, you know, Humble. He could do stuff like Loyalty. He could do Don't Kill My Vibe. Like there's a lot of stuff that Kendrick Lamar could do and fill a halftime show and that joint be slapping. But people are just really can't accept the fact that Drake is, you know, he's done for. And everybody's arguing that, you know, and people are using Lil Wayne by proxy to kind of make their point that, you know, why not Lil Wayne? Because who did Drake sign to originally? Lil Wayne and Young Money. So this is just a lot. This is another way for Drake fans to complain that their guy poke the bear, and the bear just absolutely mauled him.
Yeah, to go back to like Doc Holliday's point about Michael Jackson being the Super Bowl halftime show, like people don't understand like the reason why Super Bowl halftime show is what it is probably because of Michael Jackson. Before then, they would just have like college marching bands or these low level act musicians playing Super Bowl halftime show. Like before Jackson did Super Bowl halftime show, like everybody would like literally turn from the halftime show and watch like living color.
In living color, absolutely.
Yes.
Living color.
That's what I was gonna say. The In Living Color halftime show for the Minneapolis Super Bowl, which the Washington football team absolutely destroyed Buffalo. And the Living Color did a halftime show. And because I was 10 years old and I remember this clear as day, I can still remember it's a skit that you could not get away with in 2024. But in 1992, oh my God, talking about Damon Wayans and David Allen Greer playing the effeminate gentleman, if you will, on Men on Film. And they're teaching each other about football. And David Allen Greer's character, Antoine Merriweather, says, what those numbers, they were for I was shocked when I found out those numbers were for identification. And Damon Wayans' character says, I saw one that says, I thought it was something else. He said, I saw one that said 78 child, I almost fainted. So those two by themselves, and that In Living Color episode is still one of the highest rated television shows ever. Not for a Super Bowl, not just for a Sunday night in January 1992, but ever. So the Super Bowl folks said, we tired of this. Call the King of Pop. And the halftime show was forever changed.
Great backstory.
Yeah, Jerry Hoffman, what you think about K-Dot being the act this year?
Listen, my fellow young people, let me talk to you. Let me come here. Let me talk to you.
Let him cook. Let Jared cook.
Everything is not a conspiracy theory. Like, stop. It doesn't have to be a pyramid scheme where you got to connect the dots and everything has a reason for why it happened. Maybe Kendrick Lamar is on fire right now. His beef with Drake has him at a level of popularity that no one is at right now. And not like us, even though you may be annoyed by the song, it was the biggest hit of the summer. And it is something that people are still playing. Even though the song is only like 3 or 4 months old, you would think it was like 3 or 4 years old, how much people have played it. Like that is just marketing 101. You have someone who is popular, someone who the fans have gravitated to more than anybody else. When he did Gangchella, that was the biggest thing at that time. You got to understand, as a business, you see what he did, and you see the reaction to the concert. You see how many people watched that concert. As a business, why wouldn't I not jump on that? So yes, Lil Wayne would have been a great choice. He would have been a fantastic choice. He could have brought the Hot Boys back. He could have reunited with Birdman. I don't know if he would have did it, but you could have brought Juvie on stage. He could have got Turk and all them. He could have brought Wayne and he could have brought Drake and Nicki to bring in the Young Money era. He could have did all of that. It would have been fantastic. But as a business, Kendrick Lamar, Lil Wayne has not done much in the music industry lately. He has been, a contributor on Skip's show before it got canceled. He's been doing that, but he hasn't done much to stay relevant in the music industry that makes him the right choice right now. So as much as it would have been a great tribute to him to have him perform the halftime show in New Orleans, Kendrick was the right choice. Doesn't mean that it was a bad choice or that it would have been a bad choice that they picked Wayne ahead of Kendrick. It's just how it is. And also, just because the show is in New Orleans, it doesn't mean that he has to be there. Look at the history of the Super Bowl halftime show. Only Dre and Snoop have been guys that have performed in their hometowns. It doesn't happen a lot. Beyonce didn't perform in Houston. Where was the outrage then? It was in New Orleans in 2013. Where was the route rage then? But it's because it's Beyonce. Y'all not gonna say nothing. So relax. Please relax. It ain't no conspiracy theory. Ain't nobody hating on you. Ain't nobody hating on Drake. Ain't nobody trying to disrespect the legacy of Lil Wayne. It was just the right business decision. Get over it.
Wow.
Let's just all be glad it's not you know who.
Who is you know who?
You know who
is.
I know who it is, but I want you to say it, Jared.
Don't say it, Jared. Don't say it. Don't say it.
I'm about to go on mute on purpose.
Oh, that's funny. All right. That's funny.
It's hilarious, man. Like, okay, like, well, people out there who maybe not happy that Kendrick Lamar is going to be a halftime show act and not somebody from Louisiana, take as consolation the Grambling and or Southern bands performing with him at the halftime show?
Say what?
Okay, K-Dot's the act this year. So would it be consolation to people in New Orleans if the Southern and or Grambling band performed the halftime show with him?
Depends on who you ask. It depends on who you ask. I feel like people who go to HBCUs will love to see, those bands out there performing with K-Dot, but people who ain't never went to college and they're just people in New Orleans probably not gonna care about that. So
it's a nice touch, I guess, but it's Kendrick Lamar, man. He doesn't need it. He's good by himself. He really is.
Wouldn't be surprised if he had those bands up there, though. He's that kind of person that celebrates Black culture. So,
yeah, Chris, man, you're right, man. Like after the whole incident with Janet Jackson and Timberlake, there was about like a 10-year run where like we didn't get no Black people at Super Bowl halftime show, man.
Man,
we don't want to go back to them days again. There was a dark period in Super Bowl history right there.
Let's just be glad it's not some generic rock band or no heavy metal band or nothing like that. We got our culture represented. That's all that matters.
All right. Now for the topic that's going to get everybody mad at Ken. I don't know why, but so opening day of the NFL season, this fella right here, Tyreek Hill, the great receiver for the Miami Dolphins, he was detained a block away from the stadium by Miami police. And everybody's probably seen the video by now. But it caused a lot of controversy because at least people that I know felt like he shouldn't have been, if he's going to be stopped, he shouldn't have been harassed. The cops went too far. They were threatening to arrest like everybody on the scene, including his teammates who were just trying to check on, see how he was doing. Other people said, well, like if Tyreek Hill had been more respectful and complied, he would have got a ticket going his merry way. So two contrasting perspectives of this whole incident. Now I'm gonna turn it over to the panel, starting with Chris, to give his thoughts about this whole situation and ask him whether or not he thinks Tyreek Hill was wrong for the way he handled himself, and maybe what if he could have done anything differently to like not have the police restrain him like they did.
Well, to be honest with you, to me, I don't think whatever belligerence they might have thought Tyreek Hill did, short of him pulling out a weapon, called for any of the foolishness that they did on Sunday. Like I can't buy it. I can't buy it. As someone who has been pulled over before, the worst traffic stop I ever had was in St. Mary's County, Maryland in 2007. I had just moved there literally 3 weeks prior, and cop on the other side of the highway looks in my car, sees that I'm Black, and U-turns, pulls me over and says, where's your, where are you going? Why haven't you, where's your license and registration? He's like, Delaware, huh? He's like, oh, what are you doing here? And I'm just like, I just moved here. He was like, well, you haven't turned over your tag and your license yet, so that's an arrestable offense. So here I am, 3 weeks into a new job, moving away from home for the first time, and this dude is talking about, I'm going to arrest you because I don't like your tag, and I didn't say a damn thing to this dude. Like, I'm literally just sitting there, just minding my business, like, just hands on 10 and 2. Listening to this dude badger me, says, and he just slaps the side of my car, says, I'm going to let you off with a warning, and then speeds off. And I'm like, okay, that was weird. That was terrifying and weird. So it really doesn't matter if cops are going. I mean, they've shown a tendency to be, pardon the expression, assholes on a regular basis. And you can look at people like, whether it's Mike Brown Jr., getting cigarillos from the store, or whether it's Philando Castile sitting in a car with his wife and his daughter. If these folks, if these dudes with badges have a bad day or just want to flex their authority, they're going to do so. So I don't think there's anything Tyreek Hill could have done different. Yeah, we know Tyreek Hill is a high end. This is the same dude who literally is, who was, once charged for a, DV against his wife and one of his children. But so, I'm not excusing, Tyreek Hill by any stretch of the imagination. However, the cops' job is to de-escalate. And those dudes chose not to de-escalate. They chose to slam him down on the concrete and then, detain one of his other teammates who jumped in, who wanted to, check on Tyreek. So, when bad people get badges and guns, this is the type of stuff that happens. So, I'm not completely anti-law enforcement, but I'm saying there definitely needs to be some work done in terms of, retraining these folks on how to deal with people, because I don't think they know how to deal with people. And in some cases, as we've seen, they just don't care. And that's the most terrifying thought of all.
Yeah, Kim Shaw, your thoughts?
Is anyone else going to comment on this? Okay, because if I guess feel free to debate if you want to. Okay, I don't want this. Let me just say this, man. I will be the first to admit that everything that happened after Tyreek Hill was pulled over was highly, highly unnecessary. It was. I am one who believes, and I've told my kids this. I've got 2 black sons. I've said this just in normal conversations. Whenever we have this typical conversation about police stopping black folks on the side of the road for whatever reason, I am one who believes that if you know, or there is a historical record, or if you know that there is some reason, for whatever reason, that law enforcement is going to be against you in some form or fashion, you owe it to yourself and you owe it to your loved ones to do whatever it is necessary not to aggravate them. Now, Chris, you were absolutely right. Law enforcement is trained to de-escalate the situation, okay? But I saw that video of Tyreek Hill. The guy pulls him over, taps on his window, and as soon as he rolls his window down, the first thing Tyreek Hill says, "Don't tap on my window like that. Don't tap on my window like that. Don't tap on my window like that." Well, damn, how is he supposed to talk to you if your window's up? Now, depending on who you talk to, there was a text message that I received from one person who was another person in law enforcement who said that the one thing that they noticed was that there were a ton of police officers who just happened to be there at the time when he was pulled over, in which they were under the impression that chances are he was probably asked to stop some time ago and just didn't. I don't know how true that is, but my point is just this.
True.
Okay. I just said I was just about to say I don't know how true that is, and I'm not necessarily saying that it matters. But if you know you've been pulled over, and you know the police ain't your friend, at least if you think that in your mind, then don't give them any reason to F with you to make the situation worse. And as far as I'm concerned, when you put in consideration everything that took place was completely unnecessary, from those who tried to assist, from the other players who tried to assist in trying to figure out what the situation was, I will just simply say this. That situation could have been avoided. It could have been avoided. Tyreek didn't have to act an ass. He lied when he said, you know, a person was just beating on my door like he was crazy. He wasn't beating on his window like he was crazy. At some point, dude, I guess it just comes down to this. Because as much as it is there is truth in the fact that there are a lot of asshole officers out there. Believe me, they are. There's still something to be said about accountability for what you do. And if you just happen to be pulled over and you're speeding, then damn it, just man up, take the damn citation. And if for whatever reason, because you are Tyreek Hill, you believe that you were wronged in some kind of way, you have the necessary resources and platform to do something about it after the fact. But damn it, at least put yourself in a situation to where you can so you can live to talk about it. So that's I'm not trying to defend the police officers, but here we are, Black folks. We know how police have a tendency to be with us. Historically speaking, there is decades and decades and decades of records to support this. The last thing you need to do is to give them any sort of ammo or any reason to continue to make the situation worse. And by you just simply saying, "Don't tap on my window like that," "Don't tap on my window like that," that doesn't help. So I know that may go against the grain. I know you can say the police officers are supposed to de-escalate, but I mean, ultimately, accountability, self-accountability has to play into this. And there are a lot of people who I've noticed in situations that, you know, I'm not going to go in, but there are just a lot of times that I think a lot of these situations that take place that can be avoided if you just didn't have the damn attitude, plain and simple. And I'm done.
I'll say this in response to what you said. Like you made a lot of really good points, but I'll say this though: the police don't need a reason to mess you up. I was watching today.
Kendrick, that's my point. You're right. Yeah. They don't need a reason. And what I'm saying is, don't give them one though. And I'm gonna just keep it real with you. As inexcusable as all of that other stuff that happened after the fact was. Look, man, just keep it real. The attitude was a reason for the police officer to do what he did. I don't care what you guys say, whether it needed to be de-escalated or not. He didn't have to do it. Now, I read somewhere, I saw a headline. I didn't read the story where apparently Tyreek Hill supposedly said that he thinks that he could have handled the situation better or differently. And if he says that, then okay, fine. And that means to me, my initial thoughts aren't necessarily out of the blue. The accountability has to mean something. Whether the police officer is an ass or not, if you were speeding, man up that you were speeding. Because Lord knows I hate a damn speeding ticket. I do. Matter of fact, I got one when I went to Ohio. It was the last one, and that really hurt. That really just pissed me off. But that's beside the point. You know. And I called the officer an asshole after the fact because he didn't let me off for speeding. But I was speeding. I'm just saying. I was mad. Asshole. Could have let me pass. So that's what I'm saying, man. But my point is, he was doing his job. But back to this thing, just don't give them any reason, man, to just F with you. If you know that, you know, you being who you are, because he made this comment, well, what if I wasn't Tyreek Hill? Well, the thing is, okay, if you weren't Tyreek Hill, I'm of the belief that a lot of people probably wouldn't have taken that approach. But it was because you are Tyreek Hill and you gave that BS. The reason why I didn't want to roll my window down is because if I rolled it down, somebody would have realized it was, man, well, really? You go into clubs, I'm sure, all the time. You go into public places all the time. You mean to tell me if you go into a place of business and you show your face, that's going to be a distraction from that business doing business? Really? You being pulled over and people are driving trying to get to a damn game. You mean to tell me they're going to be distracted because you done rolled your windows down and a police officer giving you a ticket? Come on. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kendrick. I'm sorry.
No problem. Yeah, like while you do make good points that maybe Tyreek Hill probably could have handled himself better when first approached by the police don't need an excuse to violate your rights or to harm you. Because as I was saying before, I was watching the Philando Castile video when he was shot by the cop at a traffic stop for a broken tail light. And he told the officer, I have a gun in my car, let you know. He was trying to be respectful.
Right.
And so the cop asked him for like his ID. So like he reached for his ID, and because he said he had a gun, trying to be proactive, because sometimes they search cars during traffic stops. The cop gets scared and shoots him 7 times in the chest in front of his girlfriend and his 4-year-old daughter.
Right.
And so there are plenty of cases, Thabo Sefolosha, whose NBA career ended because of an encounter with the police.
Right.
So this whole thing about black people have to be respectful, they have to behave a certain way not to get harmed by the police is a bunch of BS. Because as I told my wife the other day, the police have guns, they have bulletproof vests, they have cameras, they have the law on their side, they have the courts on their side. We only have just ourselves to defend ourselves against the police.
Exactly right.
And it's also important to note that I have seen with my own eyes white people absolutely dress down police officers. Like, I mean, even worse than Tyreek Hill telling them dudes not to knock on his window like that. I've seen white people just say all the time, you peckerhead, you jerk off, I pay your check and all of that stuff. I mean, I have seen that up close and personal before. And and the cops just look at them like they're silly, which they are. But if a black person said you mother blankety blank,
exactly right,
check, then it would just be all hell would break loose.
Right.
So it's really not a matter of not giving them a reason. It's just a matter that some of these dudes are just flat out racist and will do anything to a black person because they feel like they can.
Okay, but you guys are making my point for me. I made it very clear that everything that happened from the time that they took Tyreek Hill out of that car was highly and completely unnecessary. They didn't have to take that man out of his car. But what I'm trying to tell you is, Kendrick, you just made it. You made it the perfect example with Philando Castile. Model citizen told the officer that he had a gun in his car, and yet he still shot down. So you're right. They don't need a reason. The argument that I'm trying to make is because we know what the history is with the police, with police officers, and with black folks in particular. The last thing you need to do is to give them a reason. You don't need one, but you can't act an ass talking about don't knock on my window like that. Don't knock on my window like that. And you got an attitude that does not help your case. That's the only point.
I get that point, Ken, but like what I'm saying is like it don't matter how we behave because we're hoping that the cop reacts in a way that's humane to us.
Right, Kendrick.
We don't even know.
We're going in circles now.
Polite to him.
You're right, but he wasn't
matter.
being polite to him, Kendrick. That's the point. He wasn't being polite. He had an attitude.
Like it don't matter how he behaved. He still could have been treated the same way, as we've documented in various examples.
We don't know that. Do we really think that Tyreek Hill would have been pulled out of his car by just simply giving the man his license and doing whatever he was supposed to do? Do we really think that would have happened had he not started off the way he did? Do we really think that? Because if you do, then I don't think I don't think you're being honest about it. If the man had just simply given him his damn license, let him take his citation, I guarantee you, and we don't know what, but I don't think anything would have happened to Tyreek Hill. He gives a man his license. He sees who he is. He runs it. Oh, hell, this is Tyreek Hill. And he goes on. He probably wouldn't even gotten him a ticket because he's Tyreek Hill. Sir, just be careful going back to the next, whatever. I'm just saying. I don't think anything would have happened had he not had that attitude. Don't tap on my window like that. I honestly don't think it would have. Man, look, like I said, if you want to split hairs, all of you, it doesn't matter how you behave. What point is Kendrick even talking? Okay, well, I don't know who we're talking about. All I'm saying is, dude, when he was pulled over, it started off badly from the jump. Now, you can sit up here. So I guess my point is this. You guys want to talk about what the police officers did, but we don't want to talk about what Tyreek Hill did. And yet, even though he was willing to admit that he was wrong. So what are we going to do here? Because ultimately, those officers have to be held accountable for what they're doing. But we're not gonna hold accountable. We're not gonna hold Tyreek Hill accountable for what he said or did.
No, I think you have a good point about Tyreek Hill. You know, you don't ever want to give officers any.
Hold on, Manny Milton. You said I only see Hill. You see nothing else. I just maybe you didn't hear what I said before. Everything that happened after the Tyreek Hill situation, I said was completely unnecessary. I did see that. I think the argument could be is that you only see the officers, but you don't see what Tyreek Hill did. That's the point that I'm trying to make. What led to them wanting to pull him out of the damn car? You want me to look at what the officers did. I'm saying, look at what Tyreek Hill did. All right. I'm done. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You guys go ahead, Jared. I just want to address that comment.
No, I think you have a good point about you never want to give police any indication for them to say that they were fearful for their life. So when you have your window rolled down, they don't know what's behind your window, especially because it's tinted. So you don't want them to have any reason for them to say they are fearful for their life. And then the being disrespectful to them part and saying don't roll my window down and stuff like that. As you guys have pointed out, police are very selective with who they take disrespect from. I'll just say that they are very selective. So I think this situation, what it shows us is the selective power that they choose to enforce. The police do. That's the biggest takeaway for me from this situation is police are very selective with how they abuse their power. Tyreek Hill, I'm not saying that he was right. I'm not saying that he did nothing wrong. I'm not saying anything like that. What I'm saying is the police are very selective with what they accept from the people that they involve themselves with. And they need to be held accountable for that. That the procedures that you were taught during your training, you do it every single time, no matter who you stop, no matter what their age is, no matter what their race is, no matter who they're with. Keep everything you have been taught, do that so that you and the people you are involved with remain safe and you are able to go on your way and you are able to make it home safely. That is the goal. Communicate why you stop the person. You have them hand you your license and registration. Give them the documentation that you may need to give them, whether it's a ticket or citation or whatever, and you go on about your day. Yes, Tyreek Hill could have done things better. He could have just handed him he could have rolled his window down in a timely manner. He could have gave him his license and registration, which he did in a timely manner. He could have stayed there with his window down and let the police officer tell him why he stopped him. He could have let the police officer give him whatever citation he needed to give him, and he could have went back to his car and he could have drove away. Absolutely, Tyreek Hill could have done things better. But the police need to be better with not only the way that they abuse their power, but two, de-escalating the situation, being the bigger person, because we look to you to protect and serve. And that man telling you that he had knee surgery and he cannot sit down the way that you forcefully pushed him down, that is not protecting him. I don't care if it's Tyreek Hill or whoever. If a man tells you he had knee surgery, then you take the proper precautions to help him and not further injuring him. and people trying to protect Tyreek Hill, coming in to try to protect Tyreek Hill, you calm them down. You communicate to them politely. If they aren't being aggressive towards you, as in they're not putting their hands on you, there is no reason for you to be aggressive with them. So that's what I'm saying. There is a selective abuse of power that the police have. I said that he gave him his license. I said that. So that's all I'm saying. We need to talk more and not wait for the next incident to happen to talk about police selective abuse of power, because it happens all the time, and we continue to lose people and we say RIP to them, but we never continue to talk about what needs to change and how that change comes about. And that, to me, is the biggest takeaway. Don't let this be the last situation, because, again, he said, what if it wasn't Tyreek Hill? Well, what if it wasn't? We probably wouldn't even be talking about it right now, because it's somebody who is a public figure. It's somebody who's in the public eye. But when it's somebody who is faceless that we don't know, and they are hurt or at worst are dead, we talk about it for a couple of days and then we just let it go. Let's keep the pressure on the police department to do their job the right way so that we can protect our young people and our people of color, because we see it's an attack on us. There is an attack on us, and we need to keep the pressure on them so that we can protect the next person who may be involved in the next traffic stop. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, you're right, Jared. Police should be held to a higher standard because of the position they hold in society. And if, like, we continue to say, well, if this person had complied, or she had done this, or they had to behave a certain way, they wouldn't have been hurt, then we're only saying, well, police have the right to do anything they want to do to us if we don't follow these certain steps. And no, these, as Jared said, like, they took an oath to protect and serve us, not to harm us. And just because Tyreek Hill has an attitude does not give them the right to storm on the ground and handcuff him, put a knee in his back, and do everything that they did to him. That goes way beyond what they've been taught to do. And I've written and I followed a lot of police officers on rides and seen their training, and I know what they're supposed to do, and I know they're supposed to handle situations. And what we saw in Miami on Sunday was not how you're supposed to handle a situation. Just because Tyreek Hill mouthed off to you, wasn't compliant, as an officer of the law, as a servant of the community, you're supposed to have your ego in check, number one. And number two, the officer himself put himself in harm's way. People saying, well, like, Tyreek Hill need to live to fight another day. But, like, the cop did what he did by behaving the way he did. He put himself in harm's way too. Now he could lose his job because of it. He could lose his pension because of it. All because he could not restrain himself. That's what we're saying. We're not saying don't hold Tyreek Hill accountable. What we're saying, like, hey, like, if you're an officer of the law, you're supposed to be better than that, because of the responsibility you hold in the community. And that's all we're saying about it. Yeah, but we're gonna leave it there.
We can leave it there. We got one more. We got one little minor thing. We got a parting note. I got a parting note.
A parting note.
If you are a pet lover, hug your cats and your dogs.
There's no reason why I shouldn't have seen that coming.
If you are a pet lover, protect your dogs and protect your cats. Because according to Donald Trump, folks are going around eating dogs and cats. God damn it. Did y'all see that damn debate last night? Because I think that's where a lot of people thought we were going to go. That was
we can talk about it.
That was must-see TV. That was it. Look, let me tell y'all something, man. if there was ever an example of a intellectual going against a dumbass, that was a perfect example. There was a wow, man. That was the example of an A student versus an F student.
It was also an example of how we have to be twice as good to get half of what they got.
Well, amen.
Because let's be clear about this. Kamala Harris is, I said this on my own podcast. If you guys are interested, you can check out Chris Stevens Writes. You can check all of that up.
Yeah, he did.
She people questioning her blackness blows my mind. Like, this is a woman who pledged AKA at Howard University. I don't know how much blacker you need to be. That's just one thing. But yeah, Chris is right. She hit him everywhere it hurt.
Dude,
about the crowd sizes, about him being fired by 81 million people.
Oh my God.
He wanted to call her an N-word B so bad you could see it on his breath.
Man,
on that McDonald's hamburger breath heat of his, man. You can see it.
Look, she even had a moment. There was a moment in the debate where she paused because she was like, we're talking former president. I was like, she paused. I'm like, oh, she about to call him an asshole. She about to call him or a dumbass or something. I'm just saying, man, she paused for a moment. It was like she had to catch herself, like former president.
Oh, you ain't seen the TikTok where her favorite curse word is?
No, I hadn't seen that.
Oh man, you got to find it because they ask where her favorite curse word is, and she starts smiling. She's like, I can't say it, and then she says it starts with M and ends with like AH.
Oh
and
wow!
Then she does the signature Kamala cackle, and then says not ER.
Oh,
so
wow.
She was ready to call that dude a mother lover, basically.
Man,
so she was on one last night.
Look, I just had to show
shouts out
that.
to Chuck. Oh my God, Chuck just reminded me. Put Chuck's comment on the screen real quick. If you have never seen the TV show Alf, you will not understand why that is so damn funny to me. Because
you know what? Now, actually, I didn't. I remember the show Alf, but I never watched it.
Oh, it was
I
about.
was gonna say Alf was an illegal alien who did not have transgender surgery in prison,
but he loved to eat cats.
Oh my God!
So that's why the Alf reference has me,
Oh wow! All right, guys. So look,
the thing that got me about the debate was him not understanding the concept of abortion.
Oh my God!
Just do y'all not know how abortion works?
Yeah,
they don't.
Yeah.
Like you can't abort a kid that is born.
Yeah, man.
How does that make sense? That's literally called killing the kid.
Trump has a concept of a plan. Remember,
he's got a concept of
a plan. I'm not president yet. Then how are we supposed to trust that the concept of your plan is going to come through?
It's a concept like we've never ever seen before in our lifetimes.
I swear that man is the king of over exaggeration. That we had millions and millions of people. That it was the greatest policy we had ever seen. Their presidency is the worst I have ever seen. I've never seen anything like it.
You know what, man?
Over exaggeration.
I don't want to make this to be too much of a political debate, but I do want to address this particular point right here. Okay. To me, her ethnicity is a distraction and meaningless. What are her policies and who will be in her cabinet is what actually matters. We fell for this with Obama. Let me just say this, man. If you want to talk about policy, okay, that's fine. I get it. I have no issue with anyone wanting to vote on someone based on policy, whatever the situation may be. I get that. I do ask that you at least be informed, because I think some of you, I've had conversations with some of you who talk about policy, and it's clearly clear that you don't know what policies are, or stuff that you just pull out of your ass and you just try to make it stick, try to make it make sense. I had a conversation with somebody not too long ago, and clearly the person didn't know what he was talking about. Okay. So all I'm gonna say is this. All right. And I'm gonna just keep it real with you guys, man, and is as transparent as I possibly can. For me, this race has zero /Jack to do with policy. As far as I'm concerned, the question you need to ask yourself is do you want Donald Trump to be your president? It really is that simple. If you want Donald Trump to be your president, you vote for Donald Trump. If you don't, you don't. This has nothing to do with policy. Nothing to do with policy. And I'm going to just simply say this. For those of you who are voting for Trump, for those of you who claim to be, I want to be careful here. For those of you who claim to be
free thinkers,
sanctified,
okay.
Free thinkers, people who are on this moral kick, people who are, who admire, boy, I'm really trying to be careful here because this is not a political show. But for those of you who appreciate those of high moral character, if you are one of those people and you voting for a man who likes to grab him by the you-know-what, you're morally bankrupt. You cannot. It is not asking too much to have a president at the very least. It's not too much to ask that the person be decent. It's not too much to ask that the president has a little character. That's not asking. That's not asking a whole lot. That is a real bar. That is a really low bar. At the very least, you want the president of the United States to have some character, to have some morals, and at least wants to do good for everyone, regardless whether they vote for him or not. That is not asking a lot for a president. And that's what we have right there in the choices that we have. We have a person who is, whether you agree with her policy or not, at the very least, I think she's a person of moral character, versus one who has exemplified that he is not a convicted felon. We're literally considering voting for a president who is a convicted felon. And some of you think that that's okay. And some of you are dumb enough to actually think that it is okay simply because you don't like Kamala Harris because of whatever it is you think it is. Some of you think that's okay. Kendrick, hurry up and end this show before I go off, because this is not a political show and I do not want to lose anybody. So good night.
Yeah, I can't say protect your pets, get them spayed and neutered.
Yeah, man, get them spayed and neutered.
Rest in peace, Bob Barker.
This is a hell of a way to end the show. Hey, man, we will be back with a regular show on Friday. Okay. Y'all have a good night, man. We see y'all next time. God bless you.
See y'all next week.
All right, y'all have a good one.